Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Aston Township Board of Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess everybody can tell that we have a police function here tonight. So we're going to jump ahead to new business 10A. And we want to consider a motion to hire Anthony Amicone as a part-time police officer with the Aston Township Police Department. Commissioner Doherty.
All right, conditional appointment of part-time probationary police officer. I would like to make a motion that this board appoints Police Officer Anthony Amicone of Aston to the position of part-time probationary officer at an hourly rate of $23.48 per hour. Once hired, Mr. Amicone will undergo a one-year probationary period. This appointment has the following conditions. Mr. Amicone must successfully pass a complete physical and psychological examination administered by a physician appointed by Aston Township. If Mr. Amicone fails to pass the examinations required, this appointment is immediately withdrawn. The hiring date for Mr. Amicone is April 1st, 2024. The probationary period may be extended by the Chief of Police for any reason in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Congratulations. I'd also like to welcome the Honorable District Justice Diane Holfelder, and she will do the oath. So, Judge, at your pleasure here. Come on up, young man. Are you old enough to do this?
You have someone to hold the Bible for you?
Hi, Judge. How you doing?
How you doing, Diane? Judge.
I'm going to get out of the picture. So I'm going to say aye. I'm going to say it. Aye.
Anthony Amicone.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear
As a law enforcement officer.
as a law enforcement officer
To serve honestly and faithfully.
to serve honestly and faithfully
In the performance of my duties.
in the performance of my duties
In the respect of constitutional rights.
and to respect the constitutional rights
Of all men.
of all men,
To liberty, equality, and justice.
liberty, equality, and justice.
I will obey.
I will obey
All rules and regulations.
all rules and regulations
Of the Aston Police Department.
of the Aston Police Department,
Which are handed down by my superiors.
which are handed down by my superiors.
I will keep my private life
I will keep my private life
unsullied.
unsullied
As an example to all.
as an example to all.
Maintain courageous calm
Maintain courageous calm
in the face of danger or ridicule.
in the face of danger and ridicule.
I will never permit
I will never permit
personal feelings,
personal feelings,
prejudices,
prejudices,
animosities, or friendships
animosities, and friendships
to influence my decisions.
to influence my decisions.
I will enforce the law
I will enforce the law
courteously, I can't say it, you say it. Without fear or favor,
without fear or favor,
malice or ill will,
malice or ill will,
never employing
never employ
unnecessary force or violence,
unnecessary force or violence,
and never accepting gratuities.
and never accepting gratuities.
I recognize the badge of my office
I recognize the badge of my
as
office
a symbol of faith,
as a symbol of faith,
and I accept it
and I accept it
as a public trust,
as a public trust,
as long as I am true to the ethics of police services.
as long as I am true to the ethics of police services.
I will constantly strive
I will constantly strive
to achieve these objectives
to achieve these objectives
before God,
before God,
my chosen profession,
my chosen profession,
law enforcement.
law enforcement.
So help me.
So help me God.
Okay, we have one more. Consider a motion to hire Camden Livingstone as a part-time police officer with the Aston Township Police Department Mr. Doherty.
Conditional appointment of part-time probationary police officer. I would like to make a motion that this board appoints Police Officer Camden Livingstone of Broomall to the position of part-time probationary officer at an hourly rate of $23.48 per hour. Once hired, Mr. Livingstone will undergo a one-year probationary period. This appointment has the following conditions. Mr. Livingstone must successfully pass a complete physical and psychological examination administered by a physician appointed by Aston Township. If Mr. Livingstone fails to pass the examinations required, this appointment is immediately withdrawn. The hiring date for Mr. Livingstone is April 1st, 2024. The probationary period may be extended by the Chief of Police for any reason, in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Congratulations.
I just don't want to be in their way. Left hand on the Bible, right hand. Say aye. I
Camden Livingstone,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
as a law enforcement officer
as a law enforcement officer
to serve honestly and faithfully
to serve honestly and faithfully
in the performance of my duties
in the performance of my duties
and to respect the constitutional rights of all men,
and to respect the constitutional rights of all men,
to liberty,
to liberty,
equality,
equality,
and justice.
and justice.
I will obey all rules and regulations
I will obey all rules and regulations
of the Aston Police Department,
of the Aston Police Department
which are handed down by my superiors.
and I have this police.
I will keep my private life unsullied
I will keep my private life on something
as an example to all.
as an example to all.
Maintain courageous calm in the face of danger or ridicule.
Maintain courageous,
Calm in
calm,
the face of danger or ridicule.
purity.
I will never permit
I will never permit
personal feelings,
personal feelings,
prejudices,
prejudices,
animosities, or friendships
animosities, or friendships
to influence my decisions.
to influence my decisions.
I will enforce the law courteously,
I will enforce the law courteously,
without fear or favor,
without fear of favor,
malice or ill will,
malice, or ill will,
never employing unnecessary force
never employing unnecessary force
or violence,
or violence,
and never accepting sexually.
and never
I recognize the badge of my office
recognize the badge of my office
as a symbol of faith,
as a symbol of faith,
and I accept it
and I accept it
as a public trust,
as a public trust,
as long as I am true to the ethics of police services.
to the service of,
As long as I am true
as long as I am true
to the ethics
to the ethics
of police services.
of police services.
I will constantly strive
I will constantly strive
to achieve these objectives
to achieve these objectives
for God,
for God,
to my chosen profession,
to my chosen profession,
law enforcement.
law enforcement. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Officers, we look forward to seeing you on the job. Congratulations.
Yeah, really.
They're not here.
Usually it's a lot louder, usually. It's a smaller crowd today, usually they're a lot louder.
Yeah, but I mean that has it.
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge Holfelder.
She didn't hear you.
Thank you, Judge.
Hey, Jared, you didn't. I cleared the room out pretty quick.
Okay, everybody, back to the schedule. Item 3 Review and approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 21st, 2024.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from February 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Okay, now we have committee reports.
Where's our microphones?
Where's that?
Where's our microphones at?
There's no,
We don't have it.
you're going to have to do without it.
Okay.
Mr. Tinsley, do you have something you'd like to say?
No report.
Okay. Mr. Burry?
Yes, I have the police report for February 2024. Incidents handled was 490, accident investigations 28, criminal investigations 25, criminal cases cleared 16. Clearance rate for Part 1 crimes was 70%, clearance rate for Part 2 was 69%. And then we'll go through the license plate readers. Penal and Concord, 950,000 plus. Penal and Dutton Mill, 577,000 plus. Concord and Dutton, 647,000 plus. Concord Road and Aston Mills, 552,000 plus. And Concord and Bridgewater, 520 plus. Oh, one more thing. The Aston Township Police Department was recently awarded a technology grant to the Department of Community and Economic Development in the amount of $100,000. The funds will be used to improve our current technological capabilities and also enhance our investigation by adding new technology. The grant funds will be used to purchase new computers for the police station as well as patrol cars. It will also allow us to print electronic warnings, accident report citations from the patrol car. We will also be adding storage capacity so that we can handle the large amount of body camera footage and video surveillance footage that we encounter. Other improvements include 3D crime scene scanner that will allow us to properly document crime scenes, a mobile fingerprint scanner so that individuals can be identified without transporting them to the station, and enhancements to our other network. Oh, we would like to thank all those who made this grant possible. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Prendergast?
This is the Public Works Director Activity Report for February 2024. We have 6 trees were cut down on our property off of Convent Road. Fallen trees at Valley Brook Chase was cut and chipped, ordering parts to replace broken fence. Repaired 6 caps on the outside lights of the community center. The road foreman conducted an audit of all inlet throughout town for damage and cleanliness. 57 potholes were filled using 1.6 tons of coal patch asphalt. Our sanitation department picked up 59 tons of recycling and 414 tons of residential waste. State-owned and maintained roads in Aston include Pennell Road, Concord Road, Knowlton Road, Bridgewater Road, Dutton Mill Road, Aston Mills Bernie Highway, Bodley Road, and Lenai Road. If you have any maintenance or safety issues on any of these roads, please contact PennDOT at 610-566-0972. A reminder to all residents to dispose of all medical waste properly. Nuclear medicine patients should contact their doctors for more instructions on the proper disposal of medical waste. The next metal and appliance week is April 1st to April 5th. Bulk trash week no longer exists. Anything that can burn can be put out on your curb for trash at any time. Please have your trash at the curb by 6 a.m. on your designated trash day. Any questions or complaints, please contact Russ Palmore, Director of Public Works, at 610-494-8005. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Doherty will now tell us about the money.
Okay, so I have the Township Treasurer's Report for February 2024. Operating cash in the general fund as of February 29th, $1,803,288. Other funds include the TD Bank escrow checking account, the balance of $672,895. The TD Bank ARF fund account with the balance of $784,134. The Pliget account with the balance of $9,601,035. The TD Bank capital checking account with the balance of $1,028,459. Total cash balance for the township as of February 29th, 2024, $19,997,161. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Bowden?
I have lots of stuff. First I have is the library report. There will be a bingo to benefit the Aston Public Library, which took place Saturday, March 16th, Lord, and they were very successful. They're going to have an annual bookmark design contest for the school-age children. It's underway. There's an entry form at the library, or you can download it at www.astonlibrary.org. The deadline is April 30th. The winners will be displayed at the library. The musical instrument petting zoo will be this Saturday, March 23rd from 1 to 3. Your child can see and touch and learn about all kinds of musical instruments. This is an all-age event. Adult supervision is required. They'll be having a movie showing of The Holdovers on Friday, April 5th at 11 a.m. And I have a really important announcement. We are extremely short on crossing guards to get our children to school safely every day. We have one substitute. The pay for this is $16.64 an hour. The hours are flexible. Please, if you have a spare hour or two a day, please sign up at our police department. I'm not a terrible boss. I'm a real nice boss when it comes to this. Somebody in the room's making a face, but it's not true. Flexible hours are, we have to get the kids to school safely. Drivers are absolutely insane out there. We don't want any of these little children hit, especially our middle school children and our elementary school children. So if you have a spare hour or two, a couple days a week, please sign up at our Aston Police Department. Again, the pay is $16.64 an hour, which if you work a day, it's about 2.5 hours. It's about $45 a day. For those of you senior citizens, moms that stay at home, it's really decent money. So I'm begging all of you to talk to your neighbors and please help us out if you can. From the Aston seniors, their next meeting is next Thursday, March the 28th, 10:30 at the Aston Community Center. And then our Easter egg hunt. Sad to say the weather again is not cooperating with us. So we are going to move the Easter egg hunt, which is scheduled for this Saturday. We're going to move it to Sunday at 12 o'clock at the Community Center. The egg hunt and the bunny bunch will take place 12 o'clock on Sunday. Please try to come out and help out a little bit if you can. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner McGinn?
Thank you. For a fire committee report, two things today. First, again, excellent response time from our firefighters and the EMS. EMS response time is about 7 minutes from a call, and fire response time is also in the 7-minute range and under 8 minutes. The other thing I wanted to update is this past week we had a update in emergency management review and training led by Tom Morgan, who's our emergency management coordinator. For all of the commissioners, we have Public Works in attendance. We have our police chief there, Chief Ruggieri, and Tom did an excellent job. Tom's been doing this for a long time and professionally as well, so we're lucky to have him in the township, and covered kind of the background on emergency management coordinating, what the responsibilities are of the township. Say if there was a flood or an impact, power outage that impacts the township, what roles and responsibilities are, how that's handled. Talked about the emergency operations plan of which the township has, and Tom does a good job in terms of keeping that updated. Went through organizational charts, evacuation, reception, roles and responsibility, and the last thing was the setup for later this year, and hopefully this will be something that we'll do consistently on an annual basis. We'll have a tabletop exercise. And for those not familiar with kind of the emergency preparedness or police or fire side, that's where you basically have a practice session, not necessarily with everybody moving equipment in the field, but around the table, likely be in this room here, to go through and Tom will come up with a scenario and then we'll exercise it, pulling in all the resources in the township and those outside resources as well. So we don't have a date yet, likely be in the fall. But certainly keep folks updated on that and give a review after. So a lot of good work again. Can't thank Tom enough for the effort he put into it, and look forward to updating everybody when we have the tabletop drill this fall. That's it for me, Mike.
Thank you. And we have one more committee report, the permits and licenses report. Following is a report for the permits and licenses issued for the month of February 2024. There was a beginning balance of $24,936. Total income from building permits and general contractors licenses was $57,089. Total electrical permits and licenses, $6,816. Total plumbing and heating, $6,512. Income from Board of Health licenses, $450. There was no peddlers and vendors permits or commercial maintenance inspections. Income from certificates of occupancy, $2,150. Income from rental licenses, $2,600. Income from street openings, $2,525. And total revenue collected for the month was $78,142. Total for 2024 at the time was $103,078. And the total for February 23 was $85,909. So that's all for the permits and licenses report and for committee reports. We now have open to the public. No, we don't, I'm sorry. Review and approval of the treasurer's report. I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Review and approval of the bills and payroll report.
I make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. So now we will have the open to the public for agenda items only. Agenda items only, please come up.
There's no microphone.
Mary Ann Bull, 3235 Darwin Circle. I just want to follow up with Nancy. I am a crossing guard. I love it. It pays well. The kids are excellent. And you can get up, go to work, come home, take a nap, go back to work. It's really a good job, and we need people out there because the drivers are crazy, and these kids need our help. Thank you, Nancy.
Anyone else like to come up and speak? Mr. Penza.
Nicholas Penza, 30 Morgan Road, Aston. My question is about Old Business 9A. Now, while I have questions of how they're going to fit 3 residential lots in that space, my question is, given that that's right next to the high school, I'm just worried about when they're doing a lot of the construction, and there's going to be a lot of construction vehicles coming in and out during school, during the opening and closing of school hours. I'm just worried, especially since we have a shortage of crossing guards of any accidents.
So I believe you're talking about 109 Wellington?
Yes.
Okay. And your concern is about school getting out and so forth while there's construction there?
Yes.
Okay. The contractor has got, if I understand right, the contractor has to keep the street open and take whatever necessary steps there are for people to get by and so forth. There are any number of streets there. There's Roberts, and there's Wellington, there's Pierce. There's a whole number of streets there where people can go on. Wellington will not have any construction done there because that's the front of the property. It will be there on Patterson. So, but we're a while away from that. But the contractor's got to keep the street open, and it's got to be safety measures in place. So that's the best I can offer here for that.
All right. Oh, my second thing is new business 10F. Now,
are we the only ones applying for the grant to fund the trail? Because as I recall, when they were doing the first part of the trail, which is mostly falls in Middletown, Middletown went into it with the county parks, recs department.
Yeah.
So are we the sole funding of the West Branch extension?
I think we'll let Mr. McGinn answer that question. He's, or
Yeah, I can
Mr.
answer
He's
and
sponsor.
Joe can jump in, but this is separate. So the Chester Creek Trail, I think is what you're referring to. So this is a proposed one. There's actually going to be a presentation tonight to talk about the feasibility study of it. So this would be the West Branch Trail, follows kind of West Branch and Chester Creek, if you think like where Mountain Road is and all of that. So this is all within Aston Township. So we had grants that fully paid for the feasibility study, which Pinoni's going to go over tonight.
Right,
And this would be a grant through the Department of, I think, DCNR,
Yes,
Department
DCNR.
of Conservation and
Yes,
Natural Resources.
CTP too.
I don't know if you'd add anything
Yeah,
to that, Joe.
yeah, this grant is to, we got grants to pay for the feasibility study, and now we're looking for a grant to do the design of phase one, but it's completely separate from the Chester Creek Trail, because this is the West Branch.
Oh, so it's not connected to the Chester?
It will connect, but it's separate. The Chester Creek Trail is a county project, this is a township project.
Yeah,
Now,
and Nick, I think a lot of questions when Pinoni goes through the presentation,
Okay.
you'll get to see a lot of that in
Okay.
terms of what the proposal is and kind of the routing and all of that.
All right. Right. That's all for tonight.
Thank you, Nick. Would anybody else like to come up and speak? Nobody? Going once, going twice? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, old business, 9A. Consider a resolution for the approval of the...
Mike, 8, the West Branch.
What happened to the, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. We have a presentation. Joe, do you want to introduce or do you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
In doing it, and we'll turn it over here. I don't know, Mark, if you want to kind of cue up the slides.
Yes, I'm going to present right here. I'm
So
worried
is-
about blinding these gentlemen right in front here.
So I'll talk
be
as,
forewarned and hopefully,
yeah, so I'll talk as
that's
Mark's
okay.
getting everything set up so folks can see, but did a little bit of an introduction based on Nick's question, but the West Branch Trail, which we got approval and thankful to the state and county to both support us with grants to pay for this feasibility study. Pinoni did a great job. Mark's going to present to go through it. So, special thanks to Mark ahead of time for all the work that he put into this, and Megan and Joe as well at Pinoni. So really excited that we're at this point, that folks can kind of visually see what this would look like. And I also want to recognize, one of the residents in the township too that was involved, part of the committee when I first came on as a commissioner, is John Mancinelli, who also, based on a park study that had been done before, really liked the idea and concept of a trail and connecting the neighborhoods there. So with that, now that we have our movie theater lighting, I'll turn it over to the main attraction and Mark to take it from here and go through the presentation.
Lights off. Is that a good compromise?
Yeah.
Can't see it.
Now you can't see it? Look, the lid, just turn it off. Okay. So I want to introduce Mark Morphy, he's a landscape architect in our office. As Joe said, he carried the heavy load on this study, and Mark is going to take about, since we got a grant for this project, also to cue it up, since we got a grant, we're required to have a public presentation, which is tonight. We'll take any comments from the audience or the commissioners, and then next month the commissioners will look to adopt the study. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Great, thanks. Joe, that was a great introduction all the way around. I guess pressure's on me to make sure nobody falls asleep since we're all in the dark here, so try to make this as exciting as possible. The idea for this trail is not new. This has been around for a long time. The Township Comprehensive Plan, Recreation Plan, really all the recent previous planning studies the township has done have referenced and talked about this stream corridor as being a good possibility for a trail and something the township should investigate. And it was good that somebody asked the question about the Chester Creek Trail. I hadn't thought about that, but it's very, very easy to confuse. This map isn't really intended to show it, but the blue line along the top is the Chester Creek. So that's where the Chester Creek Trail goes. The existing section comes down from the north through Middletown. The next section that's being planned continues to the south. So that's along that blue line. The yellow arrow is pointing to the west branch of the Chester Creek, which is really the only sort of green corridor in the township. So this comes basically from the west. And the idea is that that trail could someday eventually intersect with the Chester Creek Trail to join those together as part of the network. So the idea has been around for a long time. Public opinion has really been very steadily, strongly in favor of this kind of thing. Again, I won't go through all the details, but the township did a survey just within the last month, and like 80% of the respondents were very in favor of trails, preservation of open space, and this one on the bottom is really the most important. Do you think it's a good idea to spend money on stuff like this? And people said, yes, this is worthy of investing money in. Fortunately, this is the kind of project for which there is grant money available. This study, as was already said, has been paid for entirely by grants, did not come out of the township budget. So that's the expectation, that all or most of the construction and design could be paid for the same way. So I'll walk through the trail alignment or the trail corridor. It's hard to see this map, but this is Valley Brook Road to the left, which is the west, and all the way over to the creek, the township building to the east. So I'll show that in a little bit more detail. One exciting thing is how many things can be connected to this trail if it gets built, especially all of the residential neighborhoods that back up on it. And again, hopefully you read down this list, all the residential neighborhoods, other parks that could be connected by a trail. Having things that you don't have to get in your car and drive to a trail like most of us are used to doing it. A lot of people could walk out their door and find a way to walk to it and then walk the dog or whatever else. There's a lot of value to that, so that's really exciting. This is something that you probably don't encounter in sort of your daily routine of driving around Aston, just because it's not visible from streets. This is where the west branch of the creek is. It's sort of in a gorge that's way down below the surrounding streets. There's only a couple spots where you can really kind of get a glimpse of it. Off Valley Brook Road, off Bernie Highway, you can get a glimpse. But it's really kind of tucked in this hidden place. And this, if you walked out there today, it looks like this along most of it, which is really, a lot of people probably would be surprised this is Aston. So it really is a beautiful scenic resource with the stream right there. And we think that if you build something, this is what it could look like, which, again, would be a really exciting thing. So I'll walk through from west to east what this potentially could look like and what it would take to build something like this. So this is starting, all these colors. Valley Brook Road is to the left on the west, and then we go, Bernie Highway is to the right. The stream is in blue. The trail route is in yellow. The red color means privately owned land. The green color is township property. So this is township, open space property that's the township owns. The majority of this potential trail route is through township property, which is great. The hardest part of building any trail is to get the land or the right-of-way or the easement through property to allow you to do that. So this is an advantage Aston has. There's a couple of private properties that we have to go through. Chester Water is one of them, where all the big tanks are there. A couple other private properties. Hopefully easements could be acquired for those, but the majority of it is through this green section. Aerial photo kind of looks like this. You see it's really entirely wooded. It's behind several neighborhoods. You can see the words on there. Again, some photos of what it looks like on the ground along the route. We're alongside the creek. Eventually it comes up to, if you can picture Maple Lane, comes off of Bernie Highway. It sort of dead ends. That's what the photo on the right on the bottom is the end point of Maple Lane. That's where this trail could connect to. And then it goes down through this wooded setting from there. So here this follows through. Chester Water's there, connects into the end of Maple Lane, which is this short one block leading to Bernie Highway. This is as you approach up to Maple Lane. You can see the houses in the background there. From Maple Lane, we need to cross Bernie Highway. There's only a couple spots. Really, this is the one spot where there's a street crossing. Fortunately, Aston Mill Road's Bernie Highway has really wide shoulders, A lot of times streets don't. So there's room to get pavement markings, appropriate signage. There's ways, you've probably seen them, where trails and pedestrian routes can cross roads, standard ways to do that. So we think that's very feasible. Then we cross on the other side of Bernie Highway. So again, the same kind of colors here. The red is private property. The green is open space that the township owns. So most of this route is through this green area. Again, it's a big advantage. Also, the blue represents township property too. That's Fisher Park in blue. So same thing. Here's the aerial photo. You can see how it's mostly in a wooded setting. Some photos. There is a little maintenance access road from Crozierville Road. Photo on the left, on the bottom, shows how that intersects with Crozierville Road. This could be an access point from people to the north, on the north side in that neighborhood, to come down towards the creek. There's an opportunity to cross into Fisher Park. Fisher Park is kind of landlocked. Really, on the other side of the creek is this giant open space that's not being used, where this trail could go. You would need a bridge across the street. That's sort of the significant thing, but again, it's the kind of thing that you see if you walk on trails. It's not impossible to do something like that. And that would connect Fisher Park into this whole open space network, which would be great for both. Also, the opportunity to connect up to Newman University. One of the things we try to do with trails is make them go places and actually connect to things. Just makes them more useful, makes it of value to more people. This would be a value to the university. Not difficult to do to come up Woodcrest Ave, backs right up to the university. I'm going through this quick, so there'll be times for questions and I can go back afterwards if there are any. As we continue to the east, there is one, so far this has been all very feasible. It's easy to envision how it could be built. This is frankly a difficult, challenging section. Once we get further to the east, we come into Rockdale. Everybody can picture Mount Road. It's narrow, it's steep, it's curvy. There's steep slopes on both sides. It slopes down steeply to the creek, slopes up steeply in the other direction. Not really someplace you feel comfortable riding your bike or walking today. There would be a significant engineering project to widen that street to allow for a safe route. There's not really a great opportunity for an off-street route through this one little bottleneck. We're calling it a bottleneck because that's really what it is. What does happen in trail projects is you build the easy segments and then you build the segments that are medium hard. Over time, over the decades, there's always these gaps on trails, and eventually you find a way to fill those gaps to connect them all together. The more they get connected together, the better they are, the more useful they are. But what that does, that connects you up to Port Park, another nice little park that's kind of landlocked. It's not easy to walk to it. There's no sidewalks, kind of difficult streets. To find a way to connect that into an open space system would be really a good value for the township. So here's the final stretch, the green line at the top, and we're facing, this aerial photo faces to the east. That's the Chester Creek Trail. So that continues kind of along Chester Creek from Middletown and continuing down. What we would do this last section is only about a half a mile. Again, this is all private property here. We don't have open space to go through to make that final connection. But we do have a series of really very low volume streets using pavement markings, signage. We can establish an on-street, bike lanes, sidewalks, things like that, to allow people to connect safely up to get to the Chester Creek Trail. So some imagery of what this could look like. Again, most of us have been on trails here or there. The possibility is this is something that a lot of people could enjoy. You could ride your bike on it, you could walk the dog, you could walk safely with your children. There would be signage that identifies it, wayfinding to tell you where you are. It would be, the idea is hopefully it could be paved so you could get emergency vehicle access in the event that there was a need for that. Privacy is always a concern that people have. Fortunately, we're actually in close visible proximity to very, very few houses on this route. As you saw, most of this is through large open space areas, which are really kind of not visible or close to houses. So that there are relatively few that would be heavily impacted by this. Again, if you go on enough trails, you see there's ways to put up fencing, buffering, screening. Accommodations can be made to assure that there's adequate privacy and things like that. Getting to the end here, this sort of traces the route that I showed you in photos from west, Alec Road, over to the east. And what the green, yellow, and red means is just like a traffic light. Green means would be relatively easy to construct. Yellow means sort of medium, there would be some challenges, but you could do it. Red is that bottleneck on Mount Road, which would be more difficult. But you can see the idea that, yeah, about half of this or more could be constructed without too many engineering challenges, without overwhelming cost. Over time, you could fill in the yellow sections, which might be a little bit more, and eventually down the road, you'd find a way to knit all the pieces together to create one long trail that connects to other trails as part of an open space system, which is the goal. So that's, in a nutshell, quickly, an overview of what we found in doing the feasibility study. The purpose of the feasibility study was determining, could this be done? What would it take to do this? So nobody should get nervous. There's not a backhoe going out, next week doing anything. There's no money as of yet to design or construct this, although seeking that money is, I believe, the next step. And finding more public grants to fund that, so it didn't have to come out of the township budget, would be the next step. And I guess I'd turn it over to public comment. Joe, if you had any further comments or anybody had questions, I'd be happy to go back and review and talk about it. And you have some moving parts.
Yeah. No, my only comment would be, Mark, appreciate you taking the time to go through it so thoroughly. Turn it over to you, Commissioner Higgins.
Thank you. Does it,
Sorry.
would anybody like to ask any questions of Joe McGinn or my Pannoni friends over here? Anything you might have? Okay.
I'm not saying I'm against, I'm just questioning, okay?
Tell us who you are.
Kathy Papp, 2931 Concord Road, Aston. So a couple questions. One, will this presentation be uploaded to the website after tonight?
Yeah.
So we could look at it more in depth, because
Yep.
old eyes, not really good seeing. Two is, how was the survey that you said was done implemented, and was it statistically significant throughout the township? Because quite a few of us had not heard about it.
It's posted on the township website, I believe. I'm
So
not
we
sure.
had to significantly go on the website to see the survey and do it. It wasn't really announced unless it was a passive. Okay.
We mentioned it at the township meeting.
And I wasn't here.
Okay.
That'll teach you to miss a meeting.
And that,
I will add, there were about 80 responses that were received. So it's not like every single person in the township told
80 out of the whole township?
us their opinion. So yeah, it was a small sampling size.
and did I missed maybe, or do we know how much potentially the cost could be that we would need to raise?
That is in the book, in the report. The whole entire thing was several $1 million. Most of that cost was in the red section here, which was the most difficult and expensive. But those details are broken down in the report.
Okay, it's in the booklet, but it'll be on the website. Yeah. Okay.
8 million.
And again, most of that cost was in that sort of difficult section on Mount Road, if it came to that. And I think the expectation is that the township would try to raise most of that money through grants.
We'll get the commissioners out there with some rakes and hose to get that trail prepped. Does anybody else have a question? Barry Pinkowitz there coming up. Barry, I call him right now. He was on the original charter member of the Chester Creek Trail, and he's the president now, right?
Yeah.
And so I was glad to see you here.
I just had a couple questions.
Name,
Joe,
Barry,
is this
name.
going to be, I'm sorry, Barry Pinkowitz, 3155 Richard Road. Joe, is this going to be like federally funded, or are you trying for federal money on this?
The next step, and there's a resolution tonight, will be to get design funds. And you, I mean, like I said, you know the process, right? Feasibility. The good thing about the feasibility study is, as you know, very hard to get funds, and so this allows us to prove to the granting agency that the township took initiative to have a study done. It's real. So the next step will be to try to get design funds, and then because that will really nail down what it's really going to cost. And then so yeah, state funds, federal funds, wherever we can get them.
So is any part of this trail going to be paved?
I'll let Mark
Besides that road?
I think it's our hope to have all. Yeah, I mean, the thought was the main route would be paved. There is a potential for some spurs coming off that to make further connections. Those probably would not necessarily be paved. So it would be a combination of the main central route paved and then some smaller spurs and connecting routes that might not be paved. It might be just natural.
So the Chester Creek Trail, as you know, is pretty high up because of the railroad that used to be there. But this is sitting in a low area. And I worry about washouts. I see Darby Creek, they put in a lot of money into Darby Creek, paving and all that stuff, and then with one flood, it's gone. So I kind of worry about that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate concern, so that's something, once it got to design and engineering, we'd have to design it, engineer that construction in a way that would withstand that potential, because you're right, there's portions of this, actually a good majority of it, that's down at the creek level.
And my other question is policing of this trail, is Aston Township, I know this was brought up to me many times about my trail, are we going to be funding police to police this trail?
Yes, it would be. Aston Police?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing you gotta look at, obviously, to do that, yeah.
Because I know it was brought up to me many times on the Chester Creek. I know this is another big issue. I know we're building a trail, but where's the parking going to be?
Yeah, there's I think it was 5 separate spots that we identified as possible trailheads with parking.
Right.
One of those was Fisher Park, if that was connected through that route. At the end of Maple Lane, there's a little room as you get past what now is the street. Again, small, 6 to 8 cars. Off Crozierville Road, there's a little bit of space. So we don't envision there being room, the way this is conceived, for any sort of large parking lots for a lot of cars. But there's a few places where you could fit a small number of spaces in a few different places.
Yeah, and Mark, the thing I would add there too is, and when the design was looked back, if you look at kind of the connections into the neighborhoods, part of it was looked at as a neighborhood trail and the ability for folks to not have to drive even to park, right? That you can access it right from your neighborhood, looking at kind of branding and signage to do that.
But you know, when they find out there's a trail there, you can see like the Chester Creek Trail, like Knowlton parking lot or whatever, that it's so many people want to use that trail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for the area. I'm just want to let you know what's going on. You know, there's going to be a lot of cars, and they're going to all be looking for parking area.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah. So that's all I got. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, those are great comments. Those are all totally legitimate concerns and comments.
Thank you.
Anybody else with a question? Nick?
Do you need my address again? I'm sorry. To go build on what he said about policing, who will be keeping it clean, like from litter?
So part of the key part, right, and you look at it, and this is, that first feasibility study, but if it's a township trail, there's responsibility for the township, whether it's policing or, public works, similar to what they have to do for other parks. So you look at this as, kind of think about passive and active recreation. So it would be almost like a linear park almost.
Yeah, it works for me.
linear?
Meaning like in a line as opposed to like a big square, like thin, you know what I mean?
Not a rectangle, but a line.
No. I don't understand how that has to do with.
He's saying it's basically park.
I'm just saying it's like a park, but just not in a normal rectangle shape, it's like in a linear shape.
Right, so who would take care of it?
So we do the same way as any park.
Public Works.
Public Works.
of the
Okay.
township.
Then my second question, what point of the stage would be the DEP study, given that you're constructing right next to it, correct? Would that be in the design stage, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
all the construction would need to get permits, we need environmental permits from the County Conservation District, from Pennsylvania DEP. There's other permits, so that would be part of the design process, is to make all those applications and obtain the permits and design it in such a way that you'd be able to receive those permits.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Would anybody else like to comment? I have a comment. There's a number of feeder trails in there, or that I call them. The one that goes up to Newman, I could see that having, when the time comes, I could see that having a lot of traffic because of the kids up there and all, and maybe their cross-country team or whoever, you know. Would that be paved? Will we look at that to see if it's worth paving, or?
Yeah, I think those are all the kinds of things you'd have to look at more closely
Okay.
as we get into the next phase. Those are all perfectly legitimate questions and would, deserve further discussion.
Yeah, I just think that trail is a natural for cross-country, and even for track and field. You know, the kids want to go work out and everything and do their run. I think that's such a great thing that would be, you know. So, okay, that's all my question is. But
And Mike,
Joe.
just to add to that, I would say, is like, that's kind of the opportunity when you look at funding and things like, certainly, and we're nowhere close to it
No,
yet.
I know.
But kind of the public-private partnership side, right? So for Newman, it's obviously a nice amenity. They have students that live on the campus, that have a connection right to the campus. So, working with them, seeing what interest they had, and figuring all that out.
Yeah,
So-
I know the state likes to get feedback and, testimonials on playgrounds and that kind of stuff, and from the schools, from the churches and everybody else. I think that's a good thing, so, yeah, I like that. That's great. Okay, thanks. So nobody else has any questions? We can move forward, if I can find the right place. Okay. Thanks to Joe McGinn and Joe Viscuso, the other folks from the township. I think, Kelly, you worked on it. All the Newman folk, all the folks at Pinoni that put time in on it, I appreciate your work. So, okay. So old business, 9A. So consider a resolution for the approval of the preliminary final land development application of Carr Property Management to subdivide and construct 3 single-family residential lots at 109 Wellington, folio number 0200-02726-01. Commissioner Joe McGinn.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. So this would be, what I'm going to read would be resolution number 2024-39, which is the preliminary final subdivision land development approval for 109 Wellington Road. To summarize it, and this is one that we would also be granting the requested waiver from 1232.02A, of our Code of Aston Township requiring separate preliminary and final land development. So we'd be waiving that to do both here tonight for the development of those 3 homes. I would note that this plan has been reviewed and approved through the traditional land development process in Aston Township, which includes a review from our engineering firm Pinoni, review from the Aston Planning Commission, review from the Aston Township New Construction Committee, and also review from the Delaware County Planning Commission. So with this motion that I'm going to request, the waiver would hereby be granted and conditionally approved with the following conditions, which there are 10, and I need to read into the record. So, A, applicant shall abide by all applicable laws and regulations of the United States Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Delaware County, and Aston Township during its construction and the use at the property. B, except as otherwise approved during final land development, applicant shall construct and install all proposed improvements consistent with and as shown on the plan. C, applicant shall materially comply with the terms and recommendations of the reviews. D, applicant shall comply with all conditions of this approval, except as any of them may be or may have been modified by subsequent action of this board. E, prior to release of the plan for recording, applicant shall set forth the conditions of this approval verbatim. F, prior to release of the plan for recording, applicant shall revise the plan to show temporary construction easements per the direction of the township engineer. G, prior to release of the plan for recording, applicant shall add a note to the plan restricting inappropriate recreational uses over any underground stormwater basins to the satisfaction of the township engineer. H, prior to release of the plan and for recording, applicant shall add a note to the plan creating an easement to accommodate the flow of stormwater from Lot 1 into the stormwater management controls on Lots 2 and 3. I, prior to release of the plan for recording, applicant shall add a note to the plan indicating that the basements for the single-family homes on Lots 2 and 3 shall be poured concrete with foundation drains and shall establish the elevations of those basements to protect from groundwater seepage. And J, applicant shall develop the property consistent with its responses to the resident concerns expressed at the December 11th, 2023 Aston Township New Construction Committee meeting, a copy of which will be attached here to as Exhibit F. So with those conditions and all that information, I make that in the form of a motion. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions further? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it, thank you. Item 9B, consider a resolution for the approval of the preliminary final land development application of 4513 Pennell Road Associates, LLC, to build a bank at the intersection of Pennell Road and Dutton Mill Road, folio number 02-00-01472-03. Commissioner McGinn.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. This would be resolution number 2024-40, if approved, titled the preliminary final land development approval for 4513 Pennell Road. As Commissioner Higgins mentioned, this would be to construct a bank at that property. Again, the applicant is asking for a waiver of 1232.02A, requiring, in our code of Aston Township, requiring separate preliminary and final land development submissions. And approving this, we would be granting that waiver. Again, this application went on through the typical land development process with Aston Township, first being reviewed by Pinoni, our township engineer, going through the Aston Township Planning Commission, the Aston Township New Construction Committee, and also the Delaware County Planning Commission. I'm asking that we approve this waiver with the following 5 conditions for approval, and I'm going to read them before requesting this motion. Condition A, applicant shall abide by all applicable laws and regulations of the United States, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Delaware County, and Aston Township during its construction and use of the property. B, except as otherwise approved during final land development, applicant shall construct and install all proposed improvements consistent with and as shown on the plan. C, applicant shall materially comply with the terms and recommendations of the reviews. D, applicant shall comply with all conditions of this approval, except as any of them may be or may have been modified by subsequent action of this board. And E, prior to release of the plan for recording, applicant shall set forth the conditions of this approval verbatim. I make this all in the form of a motion.
Second.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from others on the board? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. Okay, we already did new business A and B at the start of the meeting. So So we have C, 10C. Consider a resolution appointing the Aston Township Zoning Hearing Board members. Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Fred. Resolution number 2024-41. It's a resolution of Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, affirming the appointment of its zoning hearing board members and alternate members. Whereas Section 903 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code provides for the appointment of zoning hearing board members and alternate members by resolution of a municipal governing body. And whereas the Aston Township Board of Commissioners desires to affirm its appointment of the members and alternate members of the Aston Township Zoning Board. Now therefore be resolved that the Township's appointment of the following members and alternate members of the Aston Township Zoning Hearing Board for the term set forth next to each member's and alternate member's name is hereby ratified. Member John Mancinelli through December 31st, 2024. Member Donald Miller through December 31st, 2025. Eric DeLellis through December 31st, 2026. Paul Mullins through December 31st, 2027. Raymond Church through December 31st, 2028. And alternate Pat Twizzler through December 31st, 2026. Resolved this day of March 2024, Aston Township Board of Commissioners, attested to by Kelly A. Pittman, Secretary, and Michael J. Higgins, President. That's in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? The ayes have it. Consider a resolution appointing the Aston Township Planning Commission members. Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, President Higgins. Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, resolution number 2024-42. A resolution of Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, affirming the appointment of the Planning Commission members. Whereas Section 203 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code provides for the appointment of planning commissioners by resolution of a municipal governing body, and whereas the Aston Township Board of Commissioners desires to affirm its appointment of the commissioners to the Aston Township Planning Commission. Now therefore be resolved that the Township's appointment of the following commissioners of the Aston Township Planning Commission for the term set forth next to each commissioner's name is hereby ratified. Planning Commissioner Kenneth Novotny through December 31st, 2024. Thomas Alonzo through December 31st, 2024. Edward Finn through December 31st, 2024. Mike Cioto through December 31st, 2025. Kathy Shortledge through December 31st, 2025. Sister Corinne Wright through December 31st, 2026. John Marchlick, December 31st, 2026. Joseph McColgan through December 31st, 2027. And Thomas Fuchs through December 31st, 2027. Resolved this 20th day of March, 2024. Aston Township Board of Commissioners, attested to by Kelly A. Pittman, Secretary, Michael J. Higgins, President. And that's in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? I just want to comment that, thank our counselor there, Michael Madden. What we did on the last two, C and D, was bring the ordinance in effect exactly with as how it's stated in the First Class Township Code. So that's why we did that, and so we'd be following it right to the letter as far as the appointment dates and so forth, okay? So we have a comments done. We have anybody that's in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item E, consider a resolution submitting a Transportation and Community Development Initiative, TCD, grant application to perform a comprehensive plan update. Commissioner Prendergast.
Thank you, Commissioner Hayes. A resolution of intent, resolution of Aston Township County, Delaware County, whereas Aston Township supports the request for the planning grant dollars from the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, DVRPC, and whereas Aston Township fully understands that DVRPC will provide project management and oversight of the planning grant if chosen for funding, and whereas Aston Township fully understands the application requirements, including county coordination and attachments. Whereas Aston Township fully understands that the DVRPC will provide project management and oversight for the grant, and advise on the qualification-based procurement process. If required, and whereas Aston Township fully understands the DVRPC will contract directly with the consultant chosen through a fair and open procurement process on behalf of the project sponsor, and whereas that the Aston Township Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes Aston Township to submit an application to DVRPC for a TCDI planning grant. Now therefore be resolved that Aston Township agrees to, if selected for the TCDI grant, to take all necessary actions to complete the project associated with the grant agreement within the 24-month time frame, and submit the final deliverable to the DVRPC, and be it further resolved that Aston Township agrees to provide all documentation and records that may be required by the DVRPC to ensure proper allocation of cost and resources. Be it further resolved that the Aston Township agrees to provide proof of adoption or acceptance of the final deliverable by the governing body through a resolution that must be submitted no later than December 31st, 2026 to the DVRPC. Adopted this 20th of March, 2024. Kelly Pippin, Secretary Clerk, Aston Township. In the form of a motion.
Second. We have a comment, we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item F, consider a resolution submitting a C2P2 grant application to the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, the DCNR, to be used to complete the west branch of the Chester Creek Trail design. Remember, that's for the design. Okay, Commissioner McGinn.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. And this is resolution number 2024-44, if approved. This is for the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, otherwise known as DCNR, Community Construction Partnerships Program. That's what C2P2 stands for. It would be a grant to undertake the project and design for the West Branch Chester Creek Trail, planning and design, and I make this in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anyone have comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item G, consider a motion to approve the contract with Starfire Corporation for the 4th of July fireworks display in the amount of $19,000. Commissioner Bowden.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract with Starfire Corporation for the annual 4th of July fireworks display not to exceed $19,000. In the form of a motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item H, consider a motion to accept the proposal from BBD LLC to provide services completing the 2023 Aston Township audit not to exceed $28,500. Commissioner Doherty.
I make a motion to approve the proposal with BBD LLC to provide services completing the Aston Township 2023 audit. This service is not to exceed $28,500 in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any
Can I-
comments or questions? Pardon me?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask what the audit was last year?
What was that?
26,500.
How much?
26,500.
So this is an increase of,
$2,000 this year.
that's all, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Consider a motion to approve Bernardin Township Architect to place the new Township and Police Department building out for public bid. And that is Commissioner McGinn.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve Bernardin Township Architect to place the new Township and Police Department building out for public bid. This will be advertised in the Daily Times on 4 different occasions prior to the bid going live on PennBid.
We have a second?
motion.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item J is announced notice of equipment sold from the Aston Township Public Works Department. Commissioner Prendergast.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. I would like to announce the sale of a 1996 trash truck from the Public Works Department. The township was able to sell the equipment for $10,900. Thank you. It's not a form of motion or anything.
It's just a, no, it's a motion. Wait a minute.
And that's
Yeah, it's a motion.
Is it?
Yeah. So consider a motion to accept the proposal from BBDLC. I'm wrong. No, I'm wrong here.
Yeah, that's a motion.
Okay, we're item J.
That was
Consider
just an
motion to
announcement.
approve. Okay.
That one doesn't require a motion.
Doesn't-
No, it's just
Okay,
an
fine.
announcement.
We'll move on. Item J, announce the notice. Yes, we just did that. K, consider a motion to approve Michael O'Brien of the 6th Ward to a 5-year term on the Aston Township Board of Health Committee. Commissioner Tinsley.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to appoint Michael O'Brien of the 6th Ward to a 5-year term on the Aston Township Board of Health Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item L, consider a motion approving the refund of $333.20 to Mr. and Mrs. Frederick Mazzarella for an overpaid service charge. Commissioner Doherty.
I make a motion to approve the refund of $333.20 to Mr. and Mrs. Frederick Mazzarella for an overpaid service charge in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item M, consider a motion approving the refund of $945.82 to Kama Sidera FBO Lyle Shell IRA for duplicate taxes and taxes that were paid. And that's for Commissioner Doherty.
I make a motion to approve the refund of $945.82 to Kama Sidra for the benefit of Lyle Cell IRA for duplicate taxes paid in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. And we move on to item 11. Commissioner McGinn has the escrows.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Higgins. I make a motion to release $7,769.50 for engineering fees to be paid to Benoni Associates for the month of March.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. So now we move on to item 12, open to the public, 1/2 hour. Does anybody in the audience would like to speak? Kathy?
You need to, Kathy Pop, PAP, 2931 Concord Road, Aston. So, a couple things, really quick though. Status update on the Concord Road synchronization of the lights. Do we have any updates?
Yeah, Captain, we've been waiting the longest time for the master controller. It's now installed. The project is virtually completed. Now we can begin the process of doing the synchronization. We're waiting for PennDOT to give us a date to meet with us on site. So hopefully it's next week or the week after for PennDOT to come out and be on site.
Also, too, I understand we approved a motion just now for the trail and to seek funding. But question, and forgive me for not knowing the answer to this, but regarding the potential threshold for funding, I know that certain thresholds get approved by the Board of Commissioners, others go out to a vote. So considering that it was potentially $8 million, dependent upon funding, would that go for a vote to all of the residents as opposed to just the survey group?
So, can I?
Yeah, sure, Joe.
I might
Yes.
jump in, But
Yeah,
I think the key thing is it's a long time away, so when you get a chance to look online at some of the things that were in there, it talks about phases, right?
Right.
So, and it's not uncommon in a trail or any big project to do that. So, I think, step by step,
No, it's just like the township building and the police, I get it,
Yeah.
I'm just, you can understand with the big expenses we're paying now.
Yeah.
And then my third thing really quick was, I heard through the grapevine, not sure how accurate it is, but pickleball is a big thing here, and the community center has been hosting it wonderfully during the day, becoming very crowded. I understood, again, through the grapevine, that they were looking at external courts, but it was very expensive, and I don't know if that was privately done or not. But, wondering if, because we're exploring other expenses as well.
Kathy, I'm in charge of recreation, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't heard a thing about it. But you know how the gossip is in this town.
I know, but I was wondering about.
There's nothing planned for outside courts right now.
So if we could put a buzz in somebody's ear about that, if we're looking at all these other expenses and outdoor activities, I think that would be something that would be beneficial. And I plan on going to the school board meeting because some townships are actually, just like we have repurposed the gym for basketball and pickleball courts, they're using tennis courts and doing little lines on that to accompany pickleball. So I'm gonna go there next year.
Great.
So,
Maybe they'll do it.
please think about the possibility of that.
Thank you, Kathy. Does anybody else would like to come up and speak? Sir, come on up.
Joe Hart, 143 Gerald Drive. Just to take my usual yearly jaunt up here, just to thank Russ Paramore and the A-Team for the extra work they put in down and helping us out at Weir Park. They saved us quite a bit of money repairing the pavilion. They got the trees trimmed out this weekend. It's nice and safe down there now. All we need now is the parking lot repaired, hopefully before opening day. Other than that,
That'll be done.
we're doing good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Give another hand back here.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't think he looked like the guy to raise his hand.
Hello, Robert Hughes, Weir Road. Wondering, is there any township oversight on the road work being done by the various utility companies in our township? All this work, I'm not sure whether you're aware or not, are being done by subcontractors, whether it's water company or Pico or Verizon. Okay? I live on Weir Road. Okay? There's been no traffic control at all. We've been pointing out that there's a lack of crossing guards. I've addressed subcontractors from Pico about traffic control, all on deaf ears. The road, as you all know, is a state highway practically. They're also backfilling with dirt in the roadway and smashing it with a backhoe bucket. Engineers in the room tell me, is that going to sink in years to come? Yes. Roadways should be backfilled with 2A modified. There should be a 1-foot cutback on every excavation. As you go down Weir Road from Richard towards my house, you can see the old excavation sinking. There's one in front of my driveway where Verizon came through about 8 years ago, repaved, and that's sinking. So to go back after these utility companies years from now is null and void. So there should be somebody qualified from the township, at least overseeing the backfilling of our roadways. And so many excavations per foot calls for a mill and overlay like they did back in Planet Fitness. So we're wasting taxpayers' money by repaving the streets when we could be addressing these utility companies.
Well, we've been dealing with the utility companies, okay, right now. And like you said, Joe Hart just put that, they made a hole in the parking lot by the Little League there. And they're coming down. Did you get a date on that, Bill?
Next couple of weeks.
Next couple of weeks.
Soon as the-
This has been an ongoing thing, believe me.
the
It's not, you're not falling on deaf ears.
Well, I've been through this with the utility companies. I'm pretty familiar with their techniques.
Mhm.
And especially when it comes to subcontractors, holding them to the line.
Well, that's why we've been jumping right on it as soon as the stuff comes
Well,
up.
You might want somebody to inspect when they excavate because they're putting the dirt back in the street. It's ridiculous. Small-time townships are getting away with stone put back in their streets. We're first-class township. We
And we're
deserve
getting
better.
dirt, is that what you're saying?
You need stone. If you-
But I'm saying, you're saying they're filling it with dirt.
I'm watching.
Hey,
They
why don't
smash
you-
with the back of the
Bill,
bucket.
get in
They
this
they
thing.
do not use any kind of pneumatic tools, gas-powered tools. They're smashed over the back of the bucket. It's ridiculous. It really is.
So Bob, I've been in touch with both PICO and with Chester Water Authority in terms of the subcontracting work that's being done, and I am looking at it. I was out today.
Oh, we can't hear you.
visiting a bunch of streets in the township too.
We can't hear you.
Who can't hear me?
I can't.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
Not clearly, not clearly.
So I was out today visiting the streets, and I've also had arrangements made with PICO and Chester Water Authority to address this issue, and I am on top of it with both of those utilities and with the subcontractors.
Now, does this, I want to make sure that does the same, is there the same requirement that we had when PICO put in the gas lines? So if they damage half of the street, then they have to redo the whole street? Is that,
So whatever the rules are
Right.
that PICO followed, they will follow too. Yes.
okay?
I was not aware of the dirt.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Oh, what, you mean, like.
So
when
I
I'm
will
going
address
down
it
my
with them
street,
tomorrow.
Potholes.
Well,
This is ridiculous.
remember one thing, when they put the first repair in, it's normally temporary because they got to wait for the ground to sink. So then they will come back like they did with the gas lines, and they will
Do
put
the soil
in,
cut and then do
yeah.
the-
But they will not go down 2 feet to the utilities. They'll go down 12 inches and put stone in. The other 24 inches is dirt. I've been in this business for a long time, so I'm looking out for our township.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate that,
That's all I'm looking at. I mean,
but
there's,
Bill will follow up on that. One thing you said, I wanted to, did I hear you say that State Highway, Ware Road?
no, it's like a state highway.
Okay,
It's not-
all
it's
right.
not a-
I want to make sure.
When they were working, it was down to 1 lane or no lane, and with no flagger force, no, they got the crossing guards with their hands full, people doing,
Gotcha.
exceeding the speed limit, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Would someone else like to come? Come on up, sir.
This is the other end of which we're going to hear. I know. Yeah, they're doing a deal with this.
Hi, my name's Bob Clemens, 812 Lamppost Lane in Aston, PA. This is my 5th meeting here for the last 5 months, and I continue to express my concerns with the project being done by PICO and their subcontractors. And I will confirm some of the stuff he said, but I got 2 things I want to speak about today. And I, again, asked for Aston to do something, and as I have been doing now for the last 5+ months. If you remember, I gave 2 different PowerPoint presentations talking about the equipment that was leaking and the spillage that was going on, the work being done in people's driveways, their yards, etc. PICO and their subcontractors, contractors of choice, they are not policing themselves, okay? I shared pictures before, they said they're going to take care of it, said they're going to clean up their stuff, you got chemicals going, it's either oil or it's hydraulic fluid right onto the road. There's no way they're going to be able to clean it. I showed you equipment with tarps underneath it, which was their initial resolution, okay, of how they were not going to continue to have stuff going on their roads. Then they said they were going to clean it up. I again went back to Bill. I've been trying to work through Aston, because you guys got the connections with PICO, about the spillage that again was occurring on my street here, okay? And then even more recently, you got equipment that's leaking down on Anvil, all right? It was an insult to my intelligence for a contractor to come back and communicate to Bill or PICO, whoever it was, that it was water that was leaking from the equipment. It is not water.
I know it's
You can
not.
go touch it and go look at it.
I've been there. I've been over there 3 times, Bob. I know what you're talking
It
about.
was even more of an insult when then they start wanting to say, well, there's a tree company was out there and it was their equipment that was leaking, it's not all ours. It's garbage. I have, and I didn't waste time making enough copies for everybody, but here's 6 or 7 more copies, okay, of the equipment that just continues to leak on the street. You can take a look at it, and I asked for Aston to get involved, because
And we are involved, Bob.
Yeah, we are
I
involved,
tell you,
Bob.
we are
I
involved.
don't know why you're
Every
jumping
time-
like that, 'cause I've been on it,
Every time you write
Joe's
me,
been on it.
I address it immediately. Today, I forwarded back the response from Pico. They are going to be out there by the end of the week to clean up all the spots on Anvil and Blackthorn and wherever else there were on here. That's what they said in their thing. I am out there every day visiting
I've been
the
out there.
streets. And every time you call, I'm there. I called you the other day to meet me out there. Unfortunately, you were working. I did go out there. I addressed it.
Actually, I called to ask you to come out there and
Right.
meet me, Bill.
Well,
I'm the one who.
No, you
brought
called me
it
on
up.
Sunday night.
Right.
I called you first thing Monday.
Not, I don't want to argue with you,
I'm
but.
not arguing with you. I'm trying to explain to you what we're doing.
Bob, you're making it sound like we're not trying to help you out here. We've been doing it.
That's not what I'm saying. What we can't allow to continue to happen is for a representative from Pico or their contractor to say, yep, we got it taken care of. and
No, we haven't done that.
You can't. You
We
can't do
haven't
it.
done that.
They demonstrated
Yeah.
they're not going to.
No, you're right. I agree with you 100%.
And Pico, I also want to continue to express my concern. If they just are not transparent, okay, with what their stuff is getting done, the stuff that they're doing. It's been 5 months now where it went from no communication whatsoever, late communication. Then they start, to keep on asking them questions, okay? What are you doing here? And then they tell you that they're going to be inspecting the transformers that are underground. Those that need to be replaced would be replaced. Well, then lo and behold, we find out they're basically replacing all of them. Then you just keep asking questions, and Bill, thank you for asking the questions. But it's like, man, it's like going to the dentist, all right? They give you a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Poor Bill has had to answer probably, I don't know, 20, 30 emails.
Well, believe me, I've been up there too with you.
And it's like,
Okay.
you ask them, all right,
Yeah.
are you going to remove the transformers?
Mhm.
And they say, yeah.
Mhm.
I said, well, if you remove it, who's going to be inspected? And I keep asking, can Aston be involved in the inspection? Well, these transformers, they're cooled by hydraulic fluid.
Bob, can I say something?
Yes.
Any conversation should not be with the man on the job that's working. Because, let me finish.
I've not spoken to a guy on this.
Well, you just said you spoke to the guys out there, so I'm sure
I've spoken to Bill.
you've not spoken to any of the workers.
I no longer
Okay.
continue to speak to them.
Well, I don't know if you have or not, but a few years back in my neighborhood, down behind St. Joseph's, there was some smell of that perfume they put in the gas. And the workers on the job, not supervisors, said, oh yeah, these should have been replaced 20 years ago, they're all corroded and so forth. And then right away, people get all upset. The conversation's gotta be with the supervisors and the management people. So I wanna make sure that you get it from the right people, okay? That's all I wanna ask, you know.
You asked me to do that 3 months ago at the second meeting that came up. And I'll tell you today, to this day, okay, Pico will not even divulge, okay, who the contractor of choice is that allegedly, okay, now inspected these transformers that are underground back in Q1 of 2023, okay? And they just, you ask a question, they give you this little nugget. Then you gotta ask the next question, you gotta ask the next question, you gotta ask the next question. It is absolutely absurd that they are, and I know, I told you from day one, they are giving as little information out as they want to. They want to get their work done, and then they want to they'll deal with whoever they got to deal with. And basically, they're pretty comfortable not having to deal with anybody. So that's a challenge. It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. I learned today they're not, now what used to be one, basically 3 foot by 3 foot grate on the property, well, that's not going away. Now there's going to be two. You're going to have that grate, and you're going to have the pad mounted transformer. Well, what are they doing with the hole? And it's the stuff you keep going back and forth on. Well, the hole's staying there because now it's going to be an access site because that's where all the laterals are. And it's like, I don't know if they ever communicated what was going on in Aston to folks in Aston, but it's a disgrace what they're doing and not really even disclosing what they're doing. I would like some assurances when that transformer comes out that it wasn't leaking oil. Because if they had to replace them, there's a reason that they had to replace them. So, but they don't provide that. They won't provide that. They won't provide who did the inspections. So, I think people need to be a little bit more aggressive with it. Yes, you guys take a look at it. That's it. And again, Thank you, I know I'm your pastor.
Yeah, I just want to address one more thing, Bob.
I'm really addressing every issue, Bob, and you know I
Right.
have. Because
We have
I am
addressed
very
this,
responsive.
and we have gone after them, okay? So I take a little thing what you're saying, like, we're not doing it, because we are.
And Chuck Nelson said he'd be out by the end of this
Right.
week. Hopefully by Friday, I'll be out there with him.
Right.
Okay?
And I've been out there since I heard it's part of it, 3 or 4 times, looking at what you're talking about. And I told you that, you're right, it's oil, it's some type of oil. There's no doubt about it, it's not water.
It's not my job to police them. It's not, okay?
Well, we shouldn't have to police them.
You are absolutely correct, and that's my point. They're continuing to demonstrate they're not going to police themselves. And in the absence of them not policing themselves, somebody from the township's got to go look at the stuff that they're doing when they're doing it, and asking the questions that I'm asking. So that's my challenge to the group. Also expressing the frustration. I'm not going away. I continue, as you know, I'm here every month.
I told you, I appreciate you doing this, I really do.
Yes, you have, and so is Bill. So, but I'll tell you what, it was really disheartening with some of the crap that they gave back to Bill this time. It was just absurd, so.
Yeah, I read like you said, I read what you're talking about.
Anyway, that was it. Thanks. See you next month.
Thank you, Bob, appreciate
I
it.
had to get hold of you. Thank you, Bob.
Hey, Bill, get speak one more time. If you would the address again, Bob Hughes, we wrote, who are your contacts at Pico? And make sure they are Pico employees, not.
So they're Exelon employees. Chuck Nelson?
We're not Exelon anymore.
No, well, his email.
Who's
His
your
email's still.
contact? Because LaFada is the.
Michael Herman, and Chuck Nelson.
Who's the other one, the woman?
Both contractors.
Ray Miller and Michelle Garrity.
Michelle
are
Garrity.
rep.
So she's the only Exelon person. The rest are all you're speaking to subcontractors.
Well, she'll direct you to them when you talk to her.
So I'm told that.
Let him go.
Okay, yeah, so Nelson is a contractor.
They're all,
Yeah,
they met at my house.
But you
They
can't-
all
you
said
can't
the
jump in.
contractors
Wait
had
till they're
it.
done.
No one from Pico is on that job.
Well, Michelle Garrity is on top of it too. I met with her yesterday. We've been out there, we've checked everyone, Bob. I wish it was just I wish I had the same relationship like with your son that I do whenever I have a problem. He goes out there and he's right there.
Well, the other one he can hire.
Wait a minute, what about hiring
Go ahead,
contractors
go ahead.
To oversee?
No,
He
they've
worked
got
there already. I think he's retired.
Like you said, you're a public utility, there's shit, I don't know why we can do with them anyway. But I'm pissed to hear that shit, though.
Come on up, sir.
I got nothing about Pico, I promise.
Take your time.
Please.
Just don't swing that cane, that looks
Yeah,
dangerous.
My name is Kendrick Kahn. Live at 243 West Knowlton Road. I was here last month, asked about the trucks coming up and down the street from Pyramid. And I just wanted to say thank you, Nancy. Within the last month, they've already put up signs saying to all the drivers as they come out onto Knowlton Road, saying the community would appreciate it if you'd slow down. So just wanted to tell people here, if you come to the meetings and you actually ask, you can see quick results. They're not just hearing you and then dismissing you. Which brings the other idea. And I know that I'm going to be fighting with Ms. Papp over funding then. And I haven't been coming to many of these things long. In fact, this is my second one. Has anyone ever brought up the potential of looking at a dog park in town? I would imagine that I wouldn't be the first.
I can say something about it. It's been I wouldn't say discussed formally. There was a former commissioner that passed away that was interested in it. I think it's a good thing, but the rest, I don't know how the rest of the board would feel. I think in today's world, what's happened, a lot of the younger people are in favor of dog parks. Unfortunately, you can't use the one that there is. Unless you live in the Valley View Apartments across from Wawa. A lot of the millennials and so forth they're helping them, they are pleasing them with this. They put a small dog park behind the apartments and with a little playground and so forth. I haven't seen it in use yet, but I know they're doing it. So it's something that we at some point could look at, it would take the whole board to want to discuss it,
I just want to put it in your guys' ears. I moved here from media about 5 years ago, and it struck me when I was living in the borough, you have so many people with dogs, no dog park. I mean, it's a similar situation here, but I know that it is becoming more of a popular thing with millennials, which is kind of strange to me, because walking around with this, I realize that there's got to be a lot more elderly people. They want to have the companionship of a dog. They can't care for the dog because they can't take the dog on long walks. It just might be something that would serve the community well. I think one of the closest dog parks, and aside from just a very, very small area where dogs can't run around. I mean, Concord has an area. It's pretty barren. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. I'm not down talking in any way. Havertown has one. There really aren't that many active dog parks that you can go to that are fairly close. And it's just something, if any of you guys have dogs, you might want to, that haven't thought about it in a while, maybe talk about it. That's it. That's all. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. I can tell you that Commissioner Bowden and Commissioner Kevin over there will discuss it.
Yeah. I don't expect something to happen tomorrow. Just as the conversation.
You got to find a place for it.
Fair point.
Yeah.
It's not going to be at my house.
Do you like dogs?
I love dogs.
Okay.
He hates dogs.
I like some dogs. All the dogs, no.
Would anybody else like to speak? Last but not least, Nick Penza.
I just want to circle back around to 9B about potential bank. Now that's going where the old office for, I think it was State Farm is, right?
Yeah.
It's in front of, it says chiropractor on the front right now, but it's right in front of Infinite.
Right.
Yeah, that's coming down.
Right, so they're taking that building down.
Yeah.
Now, are they under the same obligation as the construction at Wellington? To keep the entrance to the shopping center open, because there's a lot of fine little businesses in there. Because that's going to be, because that building where they're going to be taken down, that's right next to the entrance to the shopping center.
That was discussed in new construction, and the contractor knows it's going to be a little dicey, but they're obligated to keep it out of the way of the people coming into Infinite. There's what's that tanning salon that's next to it there? So they have to keep it open. They're obligated. Joe, maybe you can comment on it.
Yeah, they have to have access to this business. Most of the work will be, for the demolition, will be staged in the front between Pennell Road and the building. So, and then once they get the building down, it'll go pretty easy from there. But they were told, and they've said they would always keep access to those other businesses, especially the entrance. You can't block the entrance.
Okay, well, I'll hold you to it.
By the way, you're holding Commerce Bank to it. Not Commerce Bank, but Chase Bank. Chase Bank to it. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
Going once. Yeah, anything, Chief? All right, would anybody else like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward to other business. Commissioner?
Commissioner, I'll be quick. There's a lot longer. I'll cut it. This way Kathy doesn't have to watch school board meeting since it's on screen. I'll go to some of the stuff. Kindergarten registration, from the perspective, kindergarten registration started, as well as testing seasons coming up. There's two great winter sports. We had, from a wrestling perspective, we had a ninth grade girl wrestler, also a school president, sport, and then also my friend and head coach of the team, Tommy Ellis, went back to back chestnut titles, and this year they brought record four wrestlers to Hershey for the championships. She plays fifth in the PIAA state swim championship. As well as, and then also I just wanted, since that was the agenda item that I talked about, looks like that Brandon active member went to Brian on the health committee. And since this was my first month really on committees, we're going to see different perspective, how the township works, whether it's recreation, ordinance, fire, post, get out to 22. So I know I just wanted to take this time to state the obvious that you guys six, you guys aren't just here for 2 meetings a month, as well as administration, there's a lot of time that was spent outside of these, this is at least a 3-hour meeting. But outside of this 3-hour expertise that they spent through a lot of time for the township, they did the very best. And I know that both I would say they did the very best that we can. There we go. I cut that down.
Commissioner Berry.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate the new police officers and wish everybody a happy Easter.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, same thing here. Congratulate the new police officer. And also, I think Public Works should have, like Joe Harvey addressed, the work they did on the building, they did a great job. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I just want to congratulate our new officers, Amico and Lusto, and wish them luck in the future and wish them a happy Easter.
Congratulations to the police officers. Crossing guard, please talk to your neighbors, ask everybody, whatever, just heartbreak you, please. We need to get the kids safe to school. The drivers in this town are absolutely insane. Probably all of your neighbors will know it is. We need to get the kids to school safely. So we need these crossing guards and we don't have them. So please talk to your neighbor, if you can spare a couple hours. I'm just going to ask you to please. Happy Easter.
Fire company. Yeah, for crossing guards, please help because Nancy threatened John and I that she's going to kidnap us. Crossing guards. We have other jobs we're going to do. We got to feed our families. No, but all seriousness, happy Easter. Appreciate again Benoni and the work they did in terms of the feasibility study. As folks know, whenever you look and explore something big, there's always questions that come with it and steps that go along the way. So this was a big step to do and continue to explore something that would be, certainly in my opinion, a really great add to Aston Township. And as Mark said, an area that really is kind of a greenway that most people don't realize is there or have access to. With that, just happy Easter, and of course, congratulations and welcome to the two newest members of Aston.
No comments. No comments, Kelly?
Just congratulations to the new officers and happy Easter.
Joe? Easter wishes to everyone? Michael? Happy Easter. I do appreciate that. Also, congratulations to the new police officers, Amazon and Livingston. We wish them a lot of luck. We will look at some point in time at the park. Also, happy Easter, and don't forget to come out and vote on April 23rd. Polls are open from 7 to 8 at night. Elections, of course, things for votes. I just want to briefly say something about the traffic, the speeding in the town. I've been on my high horse for, I don't know, maybe 15 to 18 years I've been on the board. And I see at the end of my street, I'm on Radon Drive. I come out in the morning or the afternoon, whenever, my car, and I look down the street and I see one car after another running the stop sign at Radon Drive and Donnelly. And it's not the old California roll either. It's like, I'll touch the brake maybe, and I'll go right through. And this is both directions. So I'll come out, get down the street, stop, get up to the top of the hill by Holy Family Regional School, by Concord Road,
and they're still sitting there waiting. So what's the need to race to get somewhere? Nothing is that important to run stop signs. I follow people, because I'm going maybe the way they are, that have run 3 stop signs in a row. I mean, what do you get out of this? And I mean, I've had people flip me the bird, curse me and everything else when I said, can't stop, you know? So, you know, you see your friends and so forth, and, you know, maybe make a mention, you know, be careful when you're going to stop signs. There's kids around, there's animals around, and all that kind of stuff. Animals shouldn't be out there running around, but you know, it's really important to, you know, stop at a stop sign, you know?
And a traffic light.
Pardon me?
And a traffic light.
And a traffic light, yeah. So, I'll have a prepared statement some other time, you know? So, all right, so with that, we need a motion. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.